Have you ever felt totally stuck? Just convinced that creativity is some kind of magic gift that only a few people get? Well, what if I told you that's not true? What if it's actually a skill, a process that you can learn, practice, and get really, really good at? Okay, let's dive into this and unlock the inventor in all of us. And we're going to be using the incredible work of Dr. Kwasi Osafo-Ampadu as our guide. So this is the framework we're going to be working with. Dr. Ampadu took the classic engineering design process and did something amazing. He adapted it into this universal 10-step guide. And when I say universal, I mean it. The real genius here is that it's designed to spark innovation in literally any field you can imagine, from archaeology all the way to zoology. Now, before we get to the really juicy creative part, we have to talk about the groundwork. You can't build a house on a shaky foundation, right? Every great invention starts by identifying a real need, doing your homework with research, setting a crystal clear goal, and defining what success actually looks like. That's steps 1 through 4. With that solid base in place, we are ready to move on to the really exciting stuff. And now, we get to the heart of it all. This is the moment where something entirely new is born from all that preparation. This brings us to step 5, which is, without a doubt, the most challenging part of the journey, but also the most rewarding. So, welcome to Ideation and Invention. This is that part of the process that's this wild mix of fun and, let's be honest, total frustration. It's where the magic really happens, but it's also where you have to get comfortable wrestling with the complete unknown. So how in the world do we navigate this stage? Well, first things first, we have to bust a huge myth. You know that little voice in your head that says, "Oh, I'm just not a creative person." So many of us have it. But the research tells a completely different story. Creativity is not some rare gift. It's a fundamental human skill that you already possess. And this just nails the point perfectly. I mean, think about it for a second. The source material reminds us that all young children are these incredible creative powerhouses. The amount of learning and problem solving they do in just the first few years of life is staggering. And it requires this powerful, innate creativity. You were born with it. We all were. Which, of course, leads to the big question, right? If we all start out as these little creative geniuses, what happens? Where does it all go? Well, the simple answer is it doesn't just vanish into thin air. It gets buried. The truth is, our natural creativity is often trained right out of us. It starts as early as kindergarten, when we're taught to color inside the lines. And it continues all through our education, where we're often encouraged to imitate established patterns and find the one right answer instead of exploring all the possible answers. Our systems tend to value conformity over individuality. But here is the good news. We can get that creativity back. And the key is understanding that it's not just chaos and luck. It's a process with very distinct stages. And once you see that, you have a map to help you navigate what can feel like a total creative wilderness. And here it is. Here is that map. As you can see, step 5 itself isn't just one giant leap of invention. It's actually a mini process all on its own, with its own unique flow. And understanding these different phases is absolutely the key to getting through it successfully. So these are the 4 critical stages. It all kicks off with idea generation. This is where you just come up with tons of raw material. Then, almost inevitably, you hit a wall. That's frustration. But you can't give up, because what comes next is incubation, where you step back and let your subconscious do the heavy lifting. And that, my friends, is what leads to the moment we're all chasing. Eureka. That amazing flash of insight. You know, I want to pause on that second stage for just a second. Frustration. It feels awful. It feels like failure, but it's not. It is a critical and 100% normal part of the process. Try to think of it not as a dead end, but as a signal from your brain that it's fully engaged and just needs a new angle. Knowing when to push through or when to step away for that incubation period is a huge skill for any innovator. Okay, so let's zoom in on that very first stage, because honestly, without it, nothing else happens. Idea generation is the engine room of this whole operation. It's where you actively produce all the options and possibilities that are eventually going to lead you to a solution. To do this well, you have to get into a very specific mindset, and I think this quote from Daniel Boorstin just captures it perfectly. You have to be willing to set aside everything you think you know. That illusion of knowledge can be a huge blind spot, preventing you from seeing a truly new solution that's sitting just outside of your current assumptions. And the single most important technique for getting into that mindset is something called deferred judgment. All this means is you have to temporarily turn off your inner critic. You have to tell that voice of doubt to just take a break. For a set period of time, your job is not to evaluate ideas, your job is just to generate them. Why do we do this? Because at this stage, the goal is one thing and one thing only: quantity. You want a massive, sprawling list of possibilities. Even the most ridiculous, impractical, or downright silly ideas are not just welcome, they're encouraged. Because those crazy ideas can be the stepping stones that trigger new insights and lead to something truly brilliant. And the best part is, you don't have to just sit there and hope for the best. There's a whole toolbox of proven techniques to help you out. You've probably heard of brainstorming and mind mapping, but there are also more structured methods like SCAMPER, which is a fantastic acronym that prompts you to substitute, combine, adapt, and so on, forcing you to look at your problem from all these different angles. Okay, let's bring this all together. We've seen that creativity isn't some mystical force that you have to wait for. No, it is a practical, repeatable process that absolutely anyone can learn and apply. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this: unlocking your creative potential is not about waiting for a lightning bolt of inspiration to strike you. It's about understanding the steps, using the right tools for the job, and having the discipline to just work the process. It's a skill, and like any skill, you get better with practice. So the map is in your hands now. You know the process, the tools are right there waiting for you. The only question left is, where are you going to go with it? What will you create?